things a week will be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Baby, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things a week will be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars. I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things a week will be. But baby,
Good morning, YouTube. How is everybody doing today? Sorry, I had myself muted like a moron, but I've got some meetings to do today, so I figured I'd get this out live, updated, and bring everybody up to date on some current news that's going on today. And we're going to get started. As I said, I'm doing this live broadcast early. I have meetings all day today. I don't think that I will be able to broadcast later today at any time, so I figured, I would do it now. Go ahead, post it. That way people, when they come on, look at the notifications, they can go ahead and see it. So today we are covering Operation Dark Sky and Operation Solar Shield. And people really need to start waking up and realizing what the fuck is actually going on in this world. Yeah, I know I use the F word and sometimes I swear in the channel, but if you can't handle it, I don't know what to tell you. Leave my channel. Don't come back, whatever. But I'd like to get into this, so let me start with this first video. And I want everybody to watch this. This is very important.
One aspect of the climate problem that people sometimes don't appreciate is the timescale. The fact that a large fraction of the carbon we're putting in the atmosphere will still be there thousands, even tens of thousands of years from now. But another part of the timescale of climate change is the timescale of the energy systems on which our society is built. Switching our energy system from a fossil fuel-based one like it is today to a non-fossil energy system would take, at the very least, many, many decades, and probably much more than a century, and tens of trillions of dollars, and that's just for the US alone. The numbers are just staggering. Many of us who have looked at the energy systems of the world and the climate system have a feeling that we may actually not be able to switch our energy system over in time to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. And this is really why solar geoengineering, I think, is an important thing to look at very carefully.
Solar geoengineering refers to a set of technologies that could allow humanity to deliberately increase the planet's reflectivity, reflecting away some sunlight, and so partially offsetting the temperature changes and other climate changes that come from the accumulation of carbon dioxide. This is not a substitute for cutting emissions. If we want a stable climate, in the end, we must bring emissions to zero. But it is a powerful supplement. It could reduce the risks of climate change in ways that we cannot reduce them by simply cutting.
Well, stay with me, Joe, and I'll try to keep you awake. I'm bringing the people the information on solar geoengineering and Operation Dark Sky. And I won't be able to broadcast live later, so I'm bringing it now. That way when people log on later or whenever they wake up, they can go ahead and check out my live stream.
Something like 1% of global GDP. And surprisingly, solar geoengineering can be very inexpensive. The cost might be something like $10 billion for the whole planet. That sounds like a lot of money each year, but in fact that's something like 1/10,000th of global GDP. So the benefits might be 1,000 times larger than the costs, which is just stunning. And that's why we need a research program.
It turns out there is no government funding at the moment for solar geoengineering, practically none. We have the National Academy of Sciences recommending to proceed with research on solar geoengineering. NGOs, Environmental Defense Fund, where I just spent...
Yeah, wait till it's after this video, I'm going to start playing the Dark Sky information.
One of the reasons that,
but I want you guys to watch this first on solar geoengineering to explain the Dark Sky, Operation Dark Sky.
Countries have not been very aggressive in stepping forward in controlling these greenhouse gases. But let's assume that I even thought that this would affect things 1% in terms of the greenhouse gases that were reduced. I would still go ahead with solar geoengineering because I think that we're on a very unpleasant course, and we have to do something about it.
Mind you, they are talking about solar geoengineering, reflecting the sun from our planet to cool it down. Mind you, this is in fact happening right now. When they say that they have no government funds, it's a lie. Because there are a lot of government funds for this.
Environmental problems,
and FEMA is one of the biggest contributors to this program.
Technologies that will alter the planet in order to make it safer. But we have not devoted attention to the institutional structures that are now needed in order to respond to the challenges. We have to have global buy-in.
One of the main reasons that it's critical to start this research right now is that there are risks that are associated with the introduction of aerosols in the stratosphere. The risks are well known for sulfates aerosols as they exist naturally in the atmosphere and they get into the stratosphere from volcanic eruptions. These aerosols are known to have the potential to deplete ozone and change the temperature of the stratosphere, which has a number of effects. Because of these risks that we know about, we're very interested in exploring new materials and have the potential to greatly decrease these risks compared to sulfate. There's a number of materials that people have thought about, such as diamonds or calcite, titania, but as these are new materials for the stratosphere, we actually don't really know their reactivity. Hence it is critical that we conduct experiments. We need to find out and try to quantify aspects as soon as possible. Because the worst scenario we want to be in is that in 10, 20 years down the road, we find ourselves in a situation where we say the rate of change from climate change is so big that the cost to humans and the environment is unacceptable, and we are starting to be forced in a situation to do something to try and slow the rate of change. And the last situation we want to be in is to then make an
Oh, you have seen nothing yet, Joe.
Wasted 20 years or
nothing
10 years
yet.
or whatever time of potential.
Listen to these guys closely.
And get to a better understanding and a better quantification of risk, and also have more time to actually try and look for the ideal material to do this.
To me, solar geoengineering is terrifying. We're talking about an engineering project that would affect every living thing on this planet. The possibility that something could go wrong is really scary. And of course, the question of who controls it and to what level do you actually set the thermostat? These are very deep, fundamental questions, and we don't have answers to them. And yet, as scary as that is, as uncertain as some of the impacts of solar geoengineering may be, I think the evidence is clearer and clearer that not doing solar geoengineering and letting climate change proceed may be actually worse as an alternative. And therefore, I think we have to take a very hard look at solar geoengineering and its use in the future.
Solar geoengineering doesn't get us out of the need to cut emissions. In the end, if we want a stable, safe climate, we have to bring global emissions to zero. But the combination of solar geoengineering and emissions cuts can get us climate benefits that you can't get with emissions cuts alone. Whatever your views, our children will face decisions about what to do with climate risk, decisions that will inevitably involve the possibility of doing solar geoengineering. If we have no research program, then what we give them is the gift of ignorance. We need a diverse, systematic effort to figure out how solar geoengineering might work. That effort should be non-commercial, open access, and it must be international. Moreover, this is a problem where a multidisciplinary approach is absolutely vital. We need engineering and science, but unless it's embedded in a larger universe that thinks about governance, thinks about business, thinks about ethics, and even the way this fits in our environmental literature, we won't be able to do something that really helps the world ultimately make decisions about it. We need a research program that thinks about how to reduce the technical risks by figuring out better science and technology, and how to build institutions that have a better chance of governing a technology like this in a divided world.
So, that's for solar geoengineering. And it brings me up to my next video that I have on solar radiation management, and I'd like to play this for you.
Polarizing views continue to dominate the debate over climate change in the U.S. Now scientists are turning to technology to counter global warming. Harvard researchers are launching the world's biggest solar geoengineering study aimed at deliberately altering the planet's temperature. RT's Marina Portnaya brings us the details.
Countless scientists have described climate change as the greatest environmental threat our planet has ever faced. While solar panels and capping greenhouse emissions are two solutions for countering global warming, scientists are testing out a riskier technique known as solar radiation management. Harvard scientists are preparing small-scale atmospheric experiments to establish whether geoengineering can successfully halt climate change. Researchers believe that spraying certain types of particles into the stratosphere could help reflect more heat back into space. Researchers say large volcanic eruptions in the past have blasted tens of millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the sky, causing the atmosphere to cool. Now, scientists say they'll test out their theory by launching a high-altitude balloon tethered to a gondola equipped with propellers and sensors. The geoengineering test will be carried out sometime next year with water particles. Subsequent experiments would include seeding the sky with sulfur dioxide, alumina, or calcium carbonate. Geoengineering advocates believe the planet could be covered with a solar shield for as little as $10 billion a year. But they stress a solar tech fix should be viewed as a complement, not substitute, for aggressively reducing emissions. Some critics view solar engineering with alarm, fearing the potential for unintended consequences. Even Harvard researchers acknowledge risks associated with natural alterations to the Earth's radiation balance, such as potentially depleting the ozone and changing the temperature of the stratosphere. But supporters insist that solar geoengineering should be researched,
I haven't talked to him lately.
Would be allowing climate change to proceed without without a plan B. Now, as climate scientists underscore a growing sense of urgency, America's new leader is moving in the opposite direction. This week, President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order reportedly rolling back limits on greenhouse gas emissions from power plants, as well as scrapping federal guidelines instructing agencies to factor climate change into policy making.
So, that is Operation Solar Shield. And they are actually, I have data fact sheets that are showing that these experiments, and these videos were back in 2017, okay? Today, in 2018, these experiments are actively going on. And this brings me up to my next point. Operation Dark Sky. Okay? And this will blow your mind. So 1 second here. So I'm going to
talk about the possibility of a lights out situation many times. No matter how the cause, it is a very real possibility, and we have a fading infrastructure in this country. And now we have the mainstream reporting that Madison, Wisconsin's National Guard is coming together to prepare for a possible long-term mass power outage. This is going to be a big full-scale drill. It's going to go down for 3 days, and they're dubbing this Dark Sky. It's going to happen between May 15th through the 17th in Brown, Calumet, Dane, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, and other counties in the region. Utility companies, law enforcement, first responders are all going to be a part of this power outage simulation. The National Guard says that the public may notice the military and an increased presence of them and emergency personnel during this exercise. They're saying that their emergency management community must be prepared to deal with a myriad of scenarios and challenges posed by a long-term mass power outage. And by training together, they can continue to build meaningful relationships and try to help solve the problem if it does happen as quickly as possible. Now, with this, the increased presence of military and everyone else, you have to pay attention to what's going on here. In Omro, the National Guard is going to be going door to door to conduct welfare checks as part of this training. So if you guys are out there in that region, any residents in Omro, you can expect to see soldiers going around the neighborhoods on May 16th, knocking on doors, and what they're saying is passing out emergency preparedness information during the afternoon hours. Again, this training exercise is scheduled for the 15th through the 17th up in this region. If I can gather more information as we approach this, I will. If we can get anything from on the ground of this training event and everything that's going on, I'll make sure to get that out there as well. But just wanted to give the heads up to what they're doing here. Yes, it is good and key to be able to train for certain things like this, but it raises a lot of questions. When people start to see a large military presence and they say, well, why are we training for specifically this? Well, if you read this article, they state this is going to be responding to an attack on their infrastructure.
So he says that this is a response to an attack on the infrastructure. Well, in my research, what I have done is Operation Dark Sky and Operation Solar Shield go hand in hand. So I want to bring this up to you. National Guard helps to help with preparedness, correct? So let me go ahead and go to that screen and we can read down on this. It says National Guard soldiers are scheduled to be out in the neighborhood of Omro next month as part of a training exercise. The National Guard says soldiers will be going door to door on May 16th as part of the dark sky exercise. Soldiers will be knocking on doors, speaking with residents to make sure they're safe, and passing out emergency preparedness information. Scheduled for May 15th through 17th, the dark sky exercise simulates a long-term power outage, right? So I seen that in a news clipping, and I said, all right, let's see what else is out there on this. So I decided to go to the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs to bring this up, right? And I'm not looking at the chat for a second, people. I want to go through this. So as you can clearly see, this is the Department of Military Affairs in Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin. A full-scale training exercise simulating a long-term mass power outage in Wisconsin kicks off May 15th at sites around the state. Known as Dark Sky, the exercise runs from May 15th to 17th in Brown, Calumet, Dane, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, Outagamie, and Winnebago counties, and will test the abilities of private utilities, law enforcement, first responders, and the National Guard to respond to the scenario, as well as its second and third order effects. The public should not be concerned if they notice an increased emergency responder presence, military personnel, vehicles, and equipment, or non-military unmanned aerial vehicles operating in their community during this exercise. The exercise includes the Alliant Energy Facility in Fond du Lac County, which will serve as one of the National Guard training sites, right? Dark Sky provides an incredible opportunity for our first responders, the National Guard, emergency management officials, and our private utilities industry partners to exercise our processes now so that we are better prepared for threats to our power grid. More than 1,000 participants from State Emergency Operations Center, the Business Emergency Operations Center, the Wisconsin National Guard, County Emergency Operations Centers, Municipal Command Posts, the American Red Cross, and federal agencies will participate in the exercise, right? The dark sky scenario includes a variety of incidents that require local, county, and state level response operations designed to each exercise, each participating unit and agency. The Wisconsin National Guard will exercise its Joint Staff and National Guard Reaction Force in support of private utility partners, non-governmental organizations, and local, county, state, and federal agencies for infrastructure security. As part of the exercise, Wisconsin National Guard soldiers will conduct door-to-door health and welfare checks in Ormo, Wisconsin. So now we have military soldiers going door-to-door to United States citizens' residents and checking on their welfare. Tell me that does not raise hairs on the back of your neck. We have military staging on both borders. You're right. And I'm telling you right now, with all certainty in me right now, this Operation Solar Shield and this Operation Dark Sky are hand in hand, people. I have the proof. I have the documents. I've shown you videos on this. I don't know what more to tell you other than this is coming real, folks. This is actually going to happen, people. And when the military comes knocking on your door to check on your health and welfare, why is the military on our streets? Why are there military vehicles roaming down our streets on U.S. soil? Why is there military personnel going door to door checking on U.S. citizen health and welfare? That's my question. So you guys read it for yourself. I read it to you. Yeah, I'm not the greatest reader guy in the world, but whatever. I want this information to get out. You guys need to spread the word on this. I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, I am telling you, please, please spread the word. If there are any auditors out there in Wisconsin on May 15th through the 17th, please, 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 please record this. Please look at this. Please follow this event. So, this is just a short stream. I wanted to bring this up to you. And this is food for thought, people. If you look at the 1033 program and what they're giving to the police. Now we have American soldiers knocking on U.S. citizens' doors. We have military active in the streets in Wisconsin coming up. There is something big coming up, guys. This is something big. So, I just wanted to bring this up to you. This is my stream for today. As I said, I have meetings all day. I will not be able to stream later today. But Joe, I know that I only got 2 people watching, but it's only like 5:30 in the morning, so you know, I don't usually stream this early and people aren't usually awake this early, but it's time to wake the fuck up, people. It's time to question this. It's time to redress our government. As always, I want everybody out there to have a great day. This has been Melvin Arches with the Centurion Report. And thank you for watching. Take care.
I'm praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things a week will be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars.